Assalamu alaikum. This is Btv-Chattogram welcoming you to the English news from Btv-Chattogram. Let's begin with the headlines. Chinese investors express interest to invest in Bangladesh, says China Exim Bank Vice President meeting with Chief Advisor Professor Muhammad Yunus. BNP Secretary General urges to work unitedly for making Bangladesh economically prosperous and democratic. Special Dua Mahfil seeking speedy recovery of BNP chairperson Begum Khaleda Zia held. Death toll in Hong Kong's deadliest blaze rises to 128 as firefighting operations end. Portugal beat Austria by 1-0 in FIFA Under-17 World Cup. Viewers, those were the headlines. Now moving on to the details. Chinese investors are eager to invest in Bangladesh's green technology, jute, textiles, and pharmaceuticals as part of efforts to support the manufacturing transformation envisioned by Chief Advisor Professor Muhammad Yunus. The visiting Vice President of the Export-Import Bank of China, Yang Dongying, made the remarks during a meeting with the Chief Advisor at the State Guest House, Jamuna. She was accompanied by Dr. Emi Jun, President of the State-run Institute of Finance and Sustainability. Yang Dongying said that while China has long invested heavily in Bangladesh's large infrastructure projects, its investors are now increasingly focused on key manufacturing sectors. These include rooftop solar panels and large-scale investments in Bangladesh's green fiber jute, particularly for producing energy, biofertilizer, and plastic alternatives. Dongying said that Chinese entrepreneurs and enterprises and the Exim Bank, which has previously financed major infrastructure initiatives in Bangladesh, are interested in funding these direct manufacturing investments as well. Dr. Emi Jun said Bangladesh's traditional jute industry is a major area of interest for Chinese investors who are looking to establish joint ventures with Bangladeshi counterparts. He said Chinese firms are prepared to use up to 1 million tons of jute to produce green energy fertilizers and viable sustenance and substitutes for plastics. The Chinese advisor welcomed China's interest in Bangladesh's manufacturing sectors, noting that investors from the world's second-largest economy could help transform Bangladesh into a manufacturing hub producing goods for export to developed nations, including China. Professor Yunus said identifying pharmaceuticals and healthcare as additional sectors with strong potential for Chinese investment. He noted that China, the world's largest producer of solar energy, could play a significant role in supporting Bangladesh's transition to green energy through investments in solar panels and rooftop solar systems. The chief advisor also encouraged China to relocate manufacturing plants to Bangladesh, highlighting the potential utilization of the country's large pool of young workers. He suggested that closed state-run jute mills could be repurposed for new joint ventures. Yang Dongying said that Chinese companies are also exploring investments in AI and e-commerce, areas in which China has emerged as a global leader. In response, the chief advisor invited Chinese firms to relocate factories to southeastern Bangladesh, which hosts the country's largest seaports and offers strategic proximity to Myanmar, Thailand, and other Southeast Asian markets. Professor Yunus urged Chinese infrastructure companies to build railway links connecting Bangladesh with southern China to facilitate exports from relocated manufacturing plants alongside regional connectivity. At the start of the meeting, the Chinese advisor expressed deep condolences following the deaths of scores of people at a fire incident in an apartment block in Hong Kong. Senior Secretary and SDG Coordinator Lamia Morshid and Chinese Ambassador to Bangladesh Yao Wen were also present at the meeting. Due to the 20% retaliatory tariff imposed by the Trump administration, pressure has been created on the country's export earnings. The Export Promotion Bureau, EPB, says that overall income has declined due to drop in garment exports, although exports of frozen food, leather, and leather products have increased compared to before. Because of the high tariffs imposed by the United States, the massive entry of China and India into the European Union market is causing fresh concern among the country's garment exporters. Garment exports have fallen continuously for 3 consecutive months since August of the current fiscal year. To overcome this temporary downturn in exports, business people are focusing on strengthening their own capacity. However, economists believe that the tariff structure imposed by the Trump administration will not be long-lasting. BNP Secretary General Mirza Fakhrul Islam Alamgir has called on everyone to work in unity to make Bangladesh economically prosperous and a truly democratic state. He made this appeal at the chief guest while speaking at the inaugural session of the Biennial Council organized by the Bangladesh Federal Journalist Union, BFUJ, at the National Press Club today. The event was carried by BFUJ Acting President Obaidur Rahman Shahin and was attended by Jamaat Islami Secretary General Professor Mia Gholam Parwer, the organizers and organization's Secretary General Kadir Goni Chaudhuri, and other dignitaries. Mirza Fakhrul Islam Alamgir said that the BNP has always been in favor of media freedom. He also urged people to refrain from branding those who express differing opinions as enemies. A special Dua Mahfil was held across the country for the speedy recovery of BNP Party chairman and former Prime Minister Khaleda Zia. BNP organized the prayers after the Jummah prayers. Leaders and activists from various levels of the party participated in the prayers. Khaleda Zia is currently admitted at the Evercare Hospital. Power, Energy and Mineral Resources Advisor Dr. Muhammad Fawzul Kabir Khan said, "As a nation, we expect that everyone can vote according to their own preferences in the upcoming February elections and that anyone can contest the elections as they wish. The government has taken all measures to make the elections fair. Everyone must be vigilant so that this time's elections are not marred by the same scandal as the previous ones." He has made this comment as the chief guest at the 25th Annual Student Reception and Reunion organized by the Chattogram Government Muslim High School Alumni Association this evening. President of the Alumni Association, Lion Shah Alam Babul, presided over, while Jamal Nasir moderated the event. The Dailynews Azadi editor M.A. Malik, eminent educationist Professor Shekender Ali Hayat Khan, Muslim High School headmaster Morshidul Zaman, Professor Dr. Imral bin Yunus, Ekushé Padok awardee Ustad Azizul Islam, Muhammad Ali Chaudhuri, and other alumni and brilliant students addressed the occasion. At the end of the program, the guest handed over guests to the meritorious students. Now, international news. Firefighting operations at Hong Kong's deadliest blaze in decades have ended, a government spokesperson said, with the death toll rising to 128 and dozens more still missing. According to the fire service, the flames were largely extinguished as of 10:18 a.m. on Friday, and firefighting operations have ended, the fire service said, announcing the end of its operations. The 8-tower Wong Fuk Court State in the northern district of Tai Po, which houses more than 4,600 people, had been undergoing renovations and was wrapped in bamboo scaffoldings and green mesh when the fire started and quickly spread on Wednesday's afternoon. Police said they had arrested 3 conservative and construction company officials on suspicion of manslaughter for using unsafe materials, using flammable foam boards blocking windows. On Friday morning, firefighters continued to work at the still smoldering complex. Firefighters have been going through each of the apartments on Friday, trying to find any trapped residents. As many of 279 people were listed as missing in the early hours of Thursday morning, but that figure has not been updated for than 24 hours. At least 12 people, including children, have been killed in Beit Jin as Israel launched another incursion into Syrian territory in the Damascus countryside, according to state media. Syrian state television reports that women and children are among those killed by Israeli military attacks in Beit Jin. The Israeli civil defense said that their teams are unable to enter Beit Jin to rescue the wounded as the Israeli military continues to target any movement. Meanwhile, in Gaza, at least 1 Palestinian have been killed in an Israeli attack in the Bani Soheila municipality near Khan Yunis city. Besides, Israeli soldiers have shot and killed 2 unarmed Palestinian men during a raid in the occupied West Bank city of Jenin as the pair attempted to surrender to the military, according to video footage and witness accounts from the scene. Israel's genocidal attack on Gaza has killed at least 69,785 Palestinians and wounded 170,965 since October 2023. Severe flooding and landslides have killed at least 90 people in Indonesia this week as unusually intense monsoon rain slammed the island of Sumatra. Dramatic footage shows the deluge bursting river banks, residents inching through chest-deep waters, and vehicles and homes almost entirely submerged in brown, flooded streets, with only parts of their roofs left visible. Rescuers are racing to bring more people to safety, but power cuts and mudslides have hampered their search efforts. Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto has ordered another round of aid to be distributed to the country's 3 affected provinces of Aceh, North Sumatra, and West Sumatra. Heavy monsoon rains have caused rivers to burst their banks, triggering flash floods and landslides according and across the country's Sumatra island. Communication lines and power have been cut in some areas, making rescue efforts very difficult. At least 56 people have been killed and 21 are missing in Sri Lanka after floods and landslides triggered by heavy rains wreaked havoc this week in one of its worst weather-related disasters the country has ever seen in recent years. 21 people were killed in the central tea-growing district of Badulla, where a landslide crashed onto their homes overnight, the Disaster Management Center DMC said in a statement. Videos uploaded to social media show houses being washed away as flood countries and waters cascade through towns, while most train services have been cancelled across the country. Sri Lanka is now bracing itself for more severe weather on Friday as cyclone Ditwa moves along its eastern coast. Ditwa began as a deep depression off its eastern coast, but later intensified into a cyclone. It is expected to make landfall in India. In Sri Lanka, river levels are continuing to rise, and the DMC has warned residents in low-lying areas to move to higher ground. A red level flood warning has been issued for the low-lying areas of the Lilani River Valley within the next 48 hours, the irrigation department said. Areas at risk include the capital, Colombo. More than 200 millimeters of rain is expected in some central and northern parts of the island on Friday, Sri Lanka's Met Office said.